Hey, hi, welcome. How are you, people of the phone land, and beyond, and inside and outside? Hello, I'm Atta, and welcome to Metamorphic. I'm going to give you a 22-cent tour of the show, and if you have any questions, please let me know. If you don't, please let me know. And either way, just don't say anything. No, no, please come. And we're gonna give a little. This is really awkward. So you can be awkward. We can all be awkward together in the compound gallery, because that's what it's for. It's for people to be awkward. Anyways, welcome.
It's a real space. It's a real place.
This is a real place. This is not virtual. Well, we're virtual. But it's virtually real, so it's real and virtual.
You got people waving. Yeah.
We've got hello wavers. Okay, are there any other emoticons or things other than waving? There's not like.
Oh, there's a crying, laughing.
Is there crying?
Person.
Is there shrugging? Is there a shrugging?
There's
thing?
no shrugging.
There's no shrugging.
No, there's no shrugging.
Well, you can't tell. See, I'm making a frown. No, I'm making a smiley face.
There's
you can't tell.
up.
Oh, lots of thumbs.
I love your T-shirt.
Oh, thank you.
That is a nice T-shirt.
Thanks.
It looks like porcelain.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Delft. Kind of.
Nice.
Well, Delft T-shirt.
Nice.
Porcelain. I can never spell porcelain correctly. Can you?
Porcelain.
Porcelain. Exactly. Yeah, it's a hard one. That and gouache comes out gauche.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yes,
yeah.
Gauche and gouache and other animals that we find in Madagascar.
You got one of those.
Yeah. Madagascar has the most unique animals on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marsupials.
Yes, there's one called the Gauchian. No, there isn't.
Well, the landmass separated.
That's right. Right before Risk.
Yeah.
Before Risk, the landmass separated. Okay.
They didn't
let's
know
get to the
better.
art, because you guys have things to do on Saturday night in quarantine.
It's Saturday night. What else is
In
there
quarantine.
to do but
What are
hang
you
out
gonna do?
here?
Exactly. All right. Anyway, so here we are. So this is Metamorphic, and you saw the outside. We spent a lot of time. What did we spend a lot of time doing? I don't know. Figuring out the proper way to do this in the day and age that we live in. But let's just start here. I'm the worst game show host on the planet. All right.
We're opposite. You're the best.
Oh, okay. So this is, what is this? This is Dystonia. So Dystonia is probably one of the older pieces in the show. It's, I don't know, it was right after, I started, right when I was painting a lot of mushroom themed things, and you may know the story behind that with game mushrooms and my grandmother and all that. Anyways, the mushrooms mean a lot to me in unlikely ways. Although I've never taken mushrooms, but I have eaten a lot of mushrooms on something called pizza. Okay? And I just ate some before, and that's why I'm a little more portlier than this morning. Okay, portlier is another word. It's a French wine, and it's made from mushrooms. And anyway, so Dystonia is it's a 4-panel piece, because there's 4 panels, and it's acrylic on wood panels, and I think it kind of embodies I don't know. Well, I have a condition in my neck called cervical dystonia, and I think this is kind of what I was feeling with at the time, where you feel kind of like in knots, and you kind of feel frozen, but in knots, but you're kind of growing and agitated and anxiety. So this is, I think that's what this is about. Who knows? When I started making work like this about 3 years ago, and most of the work in here was made in the last year and a half at most, I started doing art for therapy reasons for the first time. For so long, I really didn't enjoy painting. I love doing art shows, and I love the result, and I love when people love the art, but I really wasn't into the actual process of making art. Then X, Y, and Z happened, and we all know about alphabets. They can be dangerous. So after X, Y, and Z happened, I kind of got in a kind of a depressive state, or a place where art served more as a, therapy, for lack of a better word than therapy. But so art became therapy, and almost I kind of have a compulsive need to make art almost every day. Now, when I'm not making art, it's like I'm holding my pee on a long road trip. That's pretty much what it feels like. So I'm constantly making art.
Is that a self-guided therapy that you decided this is what works for me and what
Yes,
makes me feel
yes.
better?
I mean, it started with game of shrooms, where I was painting cardboard pieces and then hiding them around. And so I just started making more and more work and enjoying the process. And so I create a lot of work. Some of it, viewable, some of it not viewable. And I'll paint over things, and I'll layer things, and I'll constantly experiment. And sometimes it may be too fast. But I'm always, I like to look at art, or I'm happiest when I'm doing art, when I look at them, at the pieces as not as narrative paintings, but more as objects, and it's probably probably harkens back to my toy design training, but if I look at my paintings as objects, or almost relief sculptures, or 2.5D sculptures, I'm most happiest that way. But when I look at them as like a frame, like a storyboard or something, I don't know, I get really caught up in the story of it, and I don't really have a good time doing that. Does that make much sense? Most of the things I do, probably with the exception of this one, which I sketched out a little bit, most I draw with paint, if that matters to anybody out there. So I will draw with paint. You guys have, I've done a lot of this work, here at the compound, in there what they call their breezeway, which is like an alley filled with pigeons and ne'er-do-wells. There's ne'er-do-well pigeons.
It's where the breeze blows.
Yes, exactly. And the pigeons will come down and try to thwart your paintings.
Yeah.
And try to thwart your progress. But what was my point with that?
You draw with your painting.
Yeah, I try to. I try to. Okay.
Yeah, and I've noticed that a lot as well, where it's not planned.
Yeah, I won't plan.
Yeah.
And that moves on to this piece here, which is really, I kind of like how it said it in the gallery, but it's got multiple sides to it. It's almost what I call 2.5D. You can move around it, which the layman person like me would say it kind of has a cubist feel to it, but to me it kind of has almost like a weird vector gone wrong thing. But even this wasn't planned.
Vector gone wrong.
Yeah. Okay. So the vector means a lot of things, right? Doesn't mean like rats and mice, and also lines, or like spline looking. It's weird. It has a lot of vectors. Has a weird meaning. Anyways, this wasn't planned either. This was done in paint as well, but and I guess that's from art school days. So I model what I'm painting, and the paintings look almost like a really bad painting that I would do when I was in like 6th grade or something like that. But then when the lines come in, I get very happy. So very happy. In fact, if I'm working on a painting and if I don't put down a line at least before I go to bed, then I'll feel kind of like, ugh, what have I done? But once I put that line down, it's like cutting cheesecake with a cheesecake knife.
Samurai sword.
Yes, it is kind of like that, and I get really happy just pulling shapes, dude. Just pulling shapes and putting lines down. No, but that's really fun. I'm really very throughout this, and we'll keep moving because I know we've got things. Saturday Night Live will be on soon, but I rarely use the color black. Instagram and photos of things tend to make the lines look black, but I rarely use black. That's probably holdover from my art school days, the very few classes I had in painting. But I only when I'm getting really lazy, or I really just I don't know what else to do, I'll use black, but I rarely use black. And that's probably because I really like the cell paintings of animation, especially stuff done by Maurice Noble. If anybody knows Maurice Noble, anybody who knows Maurice Noble, give me a thumbs up out there. Not personally because he's no longer with us, he's dead. But Maurice Noble was a background painter. And if anybody here gives an example of a Maurice Noble cartoon, then you will get a special prize in the mail.
Oh, did you guys
Not
hear
for
that?
me, but you'll get a special prize. No, you maybe. Anybody? Maurice Noble.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Somebody's Googling. No Googling. There's no Googling here.
Yeah, someone's Googling.
Yeah, you're Googling. I know.
You gotta
I
wave.
see
You gotta
it.
wave.
You see it? Where's Noble? Yeah?
Not yet.
Come on. No? Okay. All
Okay,
right.
we'll come back to it.
Yeah? Oh, all right.
So you're saying there's no black in that, this isn't black?
No, that isn't black. That's a really deep purple. You know?
Nice.
Which is, yeah. In fact, I don't even think these are black. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very rarely. And later I'll show you some other things that actually do have a black. I used a black matte from a black matte gesso from Japan. And but the colors on it will pop. Okay, so this is Cragscape, and this was the last piece I did, and I really had fun doing this. I could make these all day. This is just a really, and I think it encapsulates a lot of the later work. So let's keep moving around here.
Sure.
So outside you saw the doorway there, the installation there. That was also done without a drawing. We just did it. I did 2 versions of that, and I even painted the background of that. Just because these guys in the gallery need to see something all day, I don't want it to be plywood. Okay, and there's also objects. This is gem-like growth, and gem-like growths were floating on the outside of the gallery too, just kind of like the doorway. And this was one that we really liked that we wanted to actually have in the gallery for sale, and I'm pretty happy with that one. But I did like 3. I like to work at multiple pieces at the same time as well. And it's not because I like to be prolific or if I think I'm, the reason why is because this is a secret, well, for me, that I had to figure out. And that is, if you work on multiple pieces at the same time, then if you mess up one, there's a good chance the other one you won't feel so bad about. So you'll feel like, so if you're working on 3 at the same time, then if you mess up one, it won't matter as much. And then you won't break brushes, and brushes are expensive. So that's a secret I have. Okay? So I kind of like to pollinate the paintings. I'll work on one painting. I don't know if you guys see that, right? That's in the Breezeway.
They're all
I'll work
over
on
the
one, I'll work on another one, I'll gesso another one.
Yeah.
The other thing is I have very little patience, and even though these are water-based, like acrylic-based paints, I like to I like to touch painting before they're dry. so this helps me. So they're not, because sometimes I get so excited.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, when I paint, it's kind of like surfing a wave, So when you're like got ideas and you want to throw everything down so fast, you're touching paint, you're doing too many things, you're ruining paintings, and then all of a sudden you kind of like, boom, you just hit your bottom, and you're out of ideas. Things feel unsurmountable, right? And you just, anyways.
So you're saying this is cut out of wood?
That is cut out of wood, yes.
So,
But I painted it first and then kind of figured out the shape, I think, and then cut it. Sometimes I cut it first, and sometimes I let the paint kind of dictate the thing. Nobody figured out the Maurice Noble thing yet, huh? Okay, all right. This is a slightly older piece too. I think, what's older? A year and a half? I mean,
For
really.
you, that's old.
To me, that's kind of old because I'll work on so many different pieces. This is an example of the 2.5D kind of style.
that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm really happy with it. It was really fun to do. I wouldn't have been able to do it anywhere else but in the shops here at the compound gallery.
So you're at like 2 3/4 D on this.
Yeah, almost on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but were these things planned? No.
Yeah.
I was drawing with a saw.
Yeah. Well, I do woodworking, as you know, and woodworkers can be real uptight sometimes because you get punished if you don't plan things out.
Oh, okay.
It's hard,
Sure.
and you lose wood and things like that.
Yeah.
Watching you work in wood is really enjoyable because you're not a traditional woodworker in that sense.
Okay.
You're painting with a paintbrush, and then you're cutting it out, and then you're painting it again.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
sometimes.
are you gonna paint that again?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, shouldn't you paint that before shouldn't you cut it out and then paint it? So
Yeah.
you're kind of mixing up the process,
I think so.
for me at least, which is great.
Yeah. It's really
Keeps it
fun.
from being too contrived and planned.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, this was the second one I did. And sometimes the disadvantage of that is things could just fall apart.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know? So then I call Matt, and I'm like, hey Matt, and I give him like, I try to make my eyes big, and I said, Matt, please,
You buy me a coffee.
please show me, or it's either please show me how to use the pneumatic nail gun. That's either that, or I say, Matt, please, this has happened twice, take my phone, right? Which means take my phone so I do not throw it against the wall.
Exactly.
That's happened twice, I think, since I've known you. All right, so this tree here was made out of white birch.
It's so festive.
It's posable.
It's brilliant.
And every art show, and it does the funky winker beat. Okay. All right. This is another piece. This is Fornication, and Fornication is kind of what I refer to as a bridge piece between. So this piece this show Metamorphic has like 3 or 4 different styles. If I think I'm going, and we tried to cull it down too. So there's kind of 4 different styles, but this one kind of was a bridge piece between all the different styles. I don't know if I can do another one like this again because I don't know if I can get back in that space.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But so we have the patterns in my later. You'll see
Newer
the
work,
my newer work, and then you see the mushroom themes and this kind of like and mushrooms always kind of symbolized, or not necessarily symbolized, but mushrooms prey on decay and death and regeneration. It's the circle of life, man.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why mush heads really like mushrooms, that and they can see that we're all one and none all together and at the same time, and that everything is important and nothing matters. And that's why it's important. And that's why it doesn't matter. So it's important that it matters. Okay, so anyhow, that's kind of, there's a little skull in there. I don't know if you can see the skull. Anybody see the skull?
No, see
Little skull, little eye sockets here, little eye socket, little teeth. Can't see that? No, I see it. Okay, all right. You don't see it? Teeth, nostrils, eyes.
Oh, there, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, to me, that was a skull. Okay. But
But it's colorful and cheery at the same time.
yeah.
Sure it is.
Sure.
Use of colors off the hook. It's amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can see, in person or on video that really you can't see in a photo.
Mhm.
There's a lot of shiny paint, different textures. In fact, there's a lot of there's a lot of rough texture here. You can't really see in the photo, which was interesting to paint on. Okay, so I guess we'll keep moving, huh? There you go. And thank you guys for people watching. If there's anybody watching, hello.
Yep.
And here
Got
we
people watching and waving.
are. Okay. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll move on to the next thing.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, what's that up there?
Oh, those are bursts. Those are bursts. I think those were. When was that done? I don't know. Maybe
It's been a while.
year ago. Yeah, those
Yeah.
are probably older things as far as a year and a half, maybe a year. But I'm really into Jack Kirby. A lot of folks are. Jack Kirby, saved comics, really. Really. The art of Jack Kirby changed it from this kind of like, Superman and stuff to like, in your face, I'm going to interplanetary smash your insides out with, a solar plex from intergalactic wherever. So anyhow, I was looking at a lot of Jack Kirby stuff, and I don't look at any reference hardly when I paint, but I think there's some Jack Kirby stuff that Matt and I were talking about, and so I was kind of creating these Jack Kirby like explosions, which kind of turned into what some people think are chrysanthemums. So and then that led to a bunch of flowers, which were interesting, but so I wanted the difference. What's the difference between like fireworks, explosions, flowers, and your eyeball? So if you're looking at all these things, and then also looking up at rain. So if you're looking up at rain and and you see all the lines coming at you, kind of like hyperspace in Star Wars, I always kind of like that when you look close at an eyeball and you see all what are the stems and the rods?
Sure.
Rods and stems coming at you, and that kind of thing, and the idea of, Yeah, and
Yeah,
same
this
thing
one
with flowers and
It kind of feels like
Yeah.
interstellar travel.
sort of, yeah.
Sure.
Meets like the eyeball, and that piece is called "Stars in Your Eyes Will Burn Your Retinas."
Exactly.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, all right.
So do you think you'll come back to this at all?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of circle back around.
Uh-huh.
Right now, I'm working with some spray painted backgrounds lately in this last week,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of like this piece behind the counter there, it's kind of an oddball of the show. That and a couple other paintings are oddballs, where the backgrounds were created with spray paint. And you notice how the rocks or the formations or the whatever they are, they don't have shadows on them. And that's kind of a constant thing. I don't really want the rocks to have a shadow or a place to call home. I kind of want them to kind of
Exist independently.
Yes, I want your eyes to between line and color. I want them to recede, or what the opposite of recede, which is, I don't know, grow more hair. Proceed, recede. I don't know.
Go for it.
Yeah, so you need to farm the receding of the, yeah, so it, I like playing around with that.
Anastasia said this is a lovely painting.
Oh, well, thank you, Anastasia. Yeah. Oh, here's the catalog. Look at this.
Hey.
Now's a message from our sponsor. Our sponsor is
Tell us
called
about that. Who put that together?
Catalog. Oh, I don't
That's
know.
really well done.
Oh, thank you. I mean, yeah, I wonder who did. But this has all the rocks in it, which we'll see in a second, and so a lot of the paintings, and some of the like kind of greatest hits from the last couple of years. So you can see some things like the throne, and all the things that are kind of led up to this, and you can see the evolution of everything. Okay.
And those are available still?
Those are available still. Yeah, each one is signed and doodled in a certain way. Okay. Let's see. Oh, these are interesting. These are cell forms, and they were done at the start of the pandemic, right after. So, Meow Wolf sent my wife and I out to Meow Wolf. And if you ever been to Meow Wolf, it's in New Mexico. And right when we came back, the pandemic happened. And I think that has an influence on making these pieces. And I was making these pieces, and it's funny, when I'm scared or when I'm anxious, I tend to do really bright things, I find. And when I'm really happy, I tend to do very dark things. It's very strange.
You're trying to balance out those emotions.
Maybe, in therapy. I don't know if you remember this big skeleton-looking Don Quixote piece I did. That was kind of like really about death and decay and all that. I think I was really happy during that time. So there's this real kind of balance. I think we kind of have found balance. But cell phones were during that time. And I think we started over here, and then I was happy with the series, and we started getting real dark.
Is that when you were really happy right there?
Yeah, I think so. I think know what happens. But we were talking about cells, we were talking about viruses, and then also New Mexico. And you could see some New Mexico kind of. At least I was in my head. I was thinking about New Mexico.
Sure.
Yeah, that I think. Now I wasn't using reference or anything, but I'm, I have a secret collection of Oaxacan figures, and I really love Oaxacan figures, and I think I was thinking about that stuff, but I just started making them almost like Legos, like building. I thought maybe I could build the paintings as Legos. I did not have the patience nor the confidence to do anything big, so I started making all these little shapes and just doing them for doing them sake. And what's great is you would assemble these things in a certain way, but then when I would paint them sometimes individually. So I'd paint the pieces individually, and the things that I thought would go together totally didn't go together. So they would change, and certain pieces were from other what I thought were going to be. So again, no plan. It was really just kind of
improvised building kind of.
Yes, it was kind of like what the Bauhaus folks do with blocks. If you ever see them, actually, they'll take 3 different size blocks, and they'll be playing with them and try to think of furniture, buildings, cars, and they would think of the 3. They would use these 3 blocks, right? And they would try to make a modular system, right? And the modular system would be like, okay, when you're entry-level worker, you will get this block. And then when you are a mid-level manager, you'll get this block. And we will add this on when you're whatever. I don't want to live like that. But it's an interesting way of thinking. And I love playing with shapes. I could do that all day. Anyway, so that's what the cell phones were like. And I'm really happy that they...
Cool. There's so many distinct... I mean, they're all cohesive, but there's so many distinct little projects within the show.
Oh, well,
like
thanks.
this is its own.
Yeah, it is
thing
its
right
own little thing. That's why we give it its own little wall. And This is the same color of our bathroom. Yeah, which is
Save some for touch.
yeah. Oh, let's take a little quick foray into the Admiral Dot Miniature Gallery.
The smallest gallery in the West.
It is.
Yeah.
I heard this is a world famous gallery.
It is.
So inside this micro gallery is a very large sculpture in a very small space, and with a very small man who had painted himself white. There you go. So you can see that it's a very tiny thing. And is there a fish? Is there? I don't know.
It's a lens.
Yeah. There's some sort of lens.
It's a little fishy.
So yes, and it's on the registry of tiny galleries and modern spectacles from all across the curiosity verse.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Sideshow. What's it called?
Yeah.
Roadside America.
Roadside Americas.
Yeah, we get people rolling through town just coming to see this sometimes.
Oh, really? Okay.
So like, where's the miniature gallery?
Miniature gallery. So that is it's a bone. It's actually a painted bone. And I actually have a whole other series of painted bones, but that's the only piece that we have in the show from there.
It's a model for a very large sculpture.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Yeah. We'll see.
We're working on that.
We'll have to find a very large man to dig up and steal only one bone from that neck. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. I was working on this bandana for the folks here, and eventually we'll see that bandana come into whatever. But so I spent like a week, maybe it's a solid week or two, drawing with pens, and I hadn't done that in a long time. Freeform drawing without any sweeps or tools or anything like that. No vector, no nothing. So I figured that's the way I don't want to be where I'm in front of a computer way too much. Right? Was there a question?
Oh no, somebody's popping in. Party time. What's up, Jeff?
Party time. Okay, so I was doing like a lot of drawings for a week or two with pens, just like straight up drawing. And I had a lot of fun doing it, and I think that's where a lot of the abstract work, in fact, I know that's where a lot of the abstract work came from. And I thought, I had so much fun drawing with the pens, what if I drew with paint in that same way? And that's kind of, I think that led to this piece here, and then it led to this piece, and then it led to and I thought, okay, I love cutting out things, because I like things being objects. And I like and I think that's what happened there, and those became some of the different kind of graphic elements that we were doing with the bandana. And then
didn't you cut out a lot of your work? Weren't a lot of
yes, almost all my work before this was really cut out, and I still like cutting things out. I think because what's great about cutting things out is you can just delete it with a saw. You can. Sure. So, and in fact, you can see these pieces here are just lying around. I have a lot of pieces that are kind of like lying around finding the right home, where they're experiments. Again, I like to experiment, which means I don't try not to put pressure on myself, and then I try to assemble something or try to think of things in different ways. So you'll find more of the patterns here, but those are actually relief pieces that are attached to the painting, and I kind of like that. Was really kind of fun. I think I'm working on a new one like that, and that led to these kind of more, for lack of a better term, abstract forms, which I've typically stayed away from as a rebellion from abstract thing, but really it was more of a rebellion from the kind of the attitude or the artitude behind abstract work.
Yeah, nose in the air.
It's usually, and it's funny because I've been watching all these documentaries about artists, and a lot of artists I wasn't really interested in, like Monet or Rothko, or folks that didn't resonate with me. I'll put it there. And I listened to their stories, and their stories were really it's interesting. Their stories were totally different than the impression I got from the art history version of their stories, and a lot of the didactics and all the words and the big descriptions of the words was not really stuff that they were dealing with. A lot of them were working class people. Monet was really angry at the universe and the weather, and he's painting in a boat, and he's throwing things he's throwing his paintings at the wind and stuff. And Rothko was he was working on a big commission, and I learned that he gave all the money back because he didn't know the commission was going to this snooty place. Yet, you know, his work sells for millions and millions of dollars, and I think he's turning over in his not grave by doing that. Anyhow, so I think that there's a difference between what the artist's intention was and the kind of curatorial descriptions of the work is, if that makes any sense at all. So I, you know, it's nice to delve in. See, as I get older, you know, you tend to kind of go to the things, listen to the music you've listened to forever, and see the things you like because you learn the things you like. But then you can also kind of stop growing and stop experimenting and learning.
Sure, that's the danger.
That is the danger. Yeah. So I try to, you know, listen to things that I've never listened to before, and look at things. Some influences. I mean, I love Alexander Calder. I love Yo-Yo Kusama's work. If you look, just the freedom and the childlike, just development of her work.
Exactly what you got going on in here, though.
Well, thank you. And you know, Calder's like a drunken tinkerer who is creating like circus performances out of metal, and then he invents the mobile. I mean, a mobile. It's like inventing food or something. You know, it's like inventing a new shape. How do you invent a new color? You know.
Yeah.
But that kind of like experimentation and the childlike wonderment and the difference between physical, 3D sculpture and paintings that are sculptures and sculptures that are paintings is something I really like to hang out with. In fact, we might want to take a quick look at the latest sculptures over here.
Let me move the little sign.
Real quick. And these are these metamorph forms, and I can pick them up because I'm allowed to. But these are sculpted out of wood, and what's to me that's great. They're like when you get a little bored of one, you could always flip it over and you get a different. And again, it's almost like playing dollhouse or playing with blocks, you know.
Yeah.
I also like how there's like darkness, there's color. You know what's painted, what isn't painted, what is sculpture, what is sculpted. And the different insides and outs, and when do you use line and when you don't, is a real...
They all play together really well.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun way.
Yeah.
And then Matt Reynoso had these great forms he sculpted, and I was kind of eyeing them for a while. Yeah. And I think I psychically told him, right? I don't know, I was kind of psychically telling him, let me paint those forms, Matt.
They're way more interesting now.
Well, thank you. Matt did a great job sculpting these, and they have these wonderful legs, give you this like mid-century mod style.
Yeah.
And
they're done on a wood lathe.
And these are very different to paint. It was actually harder than I painted several times on but trying to figure out, because it was different than being like this 2.5D style.
Yeah, they're 3D.
Yeah, they're fully 3D.
Yeah.
So how do you figure that out, you know?
Well,
but something like this little yellow here that's really kind of green, that's like a chromatic green, will make my day.
Pretty.
Like little things like that, and I actually really like the bottom of this.
Yeah.
As much as anything.
That's a great piece.
Yeah, well, this piece, I'll tell you a secret. This piece,
does it fit in there?
It went from that piece. See?
Very nice.
And I didn't cut. This piece was because there's nails throughout these. See, I'm telling you all the secrets. So that's why I cut the shape, because I didn't want to hit the nails, because there's a sign in the shop that says, do not hit metal or something. So
that's a scrap.
Oh yes. Well, everything is kind of a scrap, but and then then you work with it and you see, what works and what doesn't,
Those are great.
But, if you don't experiment, then you're not going to try anything new, right? And we created, the compound has this world-famous art vending machine. And these are filled with little paintings I made, and little paintings by David Fullerton. And
someone bought 4 today.
4?
Dana sold 4.
4, okay.
She encouraged them. They look really good as an installation.
Yeah.
And we've got an empty machine.
And they come out.
There's 3 left.
There's 3 left for tomorrow if anybody wants them. You can only get them in person.
That's it. Yep, they're not online.
Okay.
That's the treat of coming into the gallery.
Yeah. This is the largest, more abstract piece we did. I did most of this in the Breezeway, I think. I can't tell. I can't tell.
You're gonna make that breezeway famous.
Yeah. We'll put a little plaque there. Yeah. Right by the drain. There'll be like the little drain. Yeah, they're kind of like nests or forms or orbs or I'm not exactly sure.
Pollen.
Yes. Well, I always think that a lot of paintings don't have enough debris in them. You know, that when you look through light, you know, if you look through a shaft of light, you'll see like dust, all these dust particles and everything. And I bet you, the pandemic informs a lot of this stuff too.
Sure. I mean,
okay.
A big chunk of this is made.
Yes, actually, the more abstract work is done during the pandemic. Yeah, sure. Okay, now we're going to go to the rocks. So the story of the rocks, if you don't know, that I took some rocks from our garden and I painted some like awful words on them, kind of like a modern artist would, to try to be clever. And I showed it to my wife, and she said, "That's not you. It's kind of contrived." And this is the thing.
Put it back in the garden?
Yes. Well, that's the thing. You can't put it back in the garden because I already ruined the rock, right? So then I was thinking, what am I going to do? Throw out a rock? And then I was thinking, you can't throw out a rock. That's wrong. This has been here for 1,000,000 years. I didn't pay much attention in school to rocks, but I know that it's been here much longer than we are. So I said, well, what am I going to do? I couldn't throw out a rock. Try throwing out a rock.
Yeah, throwing a trash can just seems wrong.
It seems totally wrong. Yeah, it's like, So I covered the whole rock with paint. And I was thinking, what would what rock want to be painted like? And I figured the rock would be painted like a rock. So it's a rock. These are rocks painted like rocks. So we have.
So you're being sensitive to their needs.
Yes. So here's
their forms.
Yeah. So and it's interesting, but the rock will kind of tell you what to do. Well, it tells me what to do. And I gotta say, they're really fun to paint. There's some textured ones in the show. And this is the first time that we've shown. So I did those, and they were really fun to see. And it's interesting to see them together. To see them together as a grouping, or an arrangement, like flowers or something. But they're rocks, painted like rocks. Some people said they were kind of similar to a video game or something, like assets in a video game. But I'm not exactly sure. I don't play video games, they're really fun to paint. It's different. I don't know how to explain it.
I love how you are working with the rock.
Oh, yeah.
The rock would be totally happy in those clothes.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, well,
You know what I mean?
somebody told me these are like rocks in drag for now. And then a couple hundred years from now, depending on the paint will come off. But I'm not exactly sure. That's a pretty solid paint. I mean, it's paint from France.
They've been around a couple million years,
Yes.
and they're feeling good right now.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope
They've
so.
been, cold and naked their whole lives, and now they're adorned and expressed.
Okay.
Their inner rockness.
Inner rockness. I spend quite a lot of time picking out the rocks and looking at the rocks and not talking to the rocks, but almost talking to the rocks. I might as well be. I talk to the rocks.
You're talking to the rocks.
So I'm talking to the rocks, and it's funny because sometimes I go to the quarry and I'll be there for a long time, 45 minutes or an hour, and I'm picking out 12 rocks. Right? And they must be looking at me like I'm out of my mind. Here comes the man again, who's picking out his date, picking out his rocks. So, I have a bunch of them. And some come right from the garden, and some I'll put back in the garden, and then I come back and I go, no, I gotta go pick it up again. And I'm walking around with the dog and stuff, and I'm like, I'm gonna get you, but I have to replace you later. So this is the first time. So then what I was doing was we were painting rocks, painted like rocks. They're all different kinds of rocks too.
We did a live stream rock show.
Yeah, we did a live stream rock show, it was like Home Shopping Club, but not, and it was kind of like I don't know.
It was a rock drag show.
Was it? It was a thing. And then, so this is the first time we showed rocks painted like rocks, and then a series. This started with this one here, which were paintings of rocks painted like rocks. So I was just thinking like what rocks I would like to find or love to find, And I started painting them almost like a never-ending Whitman sampler, jeweler, I can't say that. Yes, like a drawer where they'd show you their finest rocks painted like rocks.
Dream rocks?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But or almost like a pattern. Like there's a fashion designer I like. I can't remember his name. Dries Van Noten. Is that his name? Van Houten. Anyway, it's been a long day, folks. But I like the way he would use patterns and things. To use lots of different patterns without them clashing is a real kind of interesting, because otherwise you look like a hobo, you know. So it's kind of an interesting way to go. So we've got rocks painted like rocks, and then I went to cutting out the rocks, painted like rocks, with the series of circles. And what I really like is when colors, like a light color will like I can arrange these forever, by the way. And I was here for a long time trying to figure out which one is in front of which. And if you go over here to like this one here, you'll see some of the lines, almost like an animation. I was supposed to bring the cell animation I have from a key road, but I have that. I look at it all the time. I should probably do something like frame it or something, but I look at it all the time because I love how animators will take in the cell animation times will take foreground and background, and how they would play with the different thing and do 3 different levels of things: midground, foreground, background, and the different colors. So again, there's no black here. It's just different colors that are dark, and what will pop and what won't pop makes my day.
Susan said you're a great colorist.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And somebody with little hearts in their eyes has popped up. Maybe
Okay.
Annie.
Name Annie? Oh, yes, I know her. Yes, we go way back.
So wait, so you've got the painted rocks over there.
Yes.
Are these models for your paintings?
Not really.
Okay.
It's funny. Every once in a while I'll be painting and then I go, oh yeah, let me look at them. Oh yeah, okay. But that's about it, I mean, I really probably should, I should look at more reference or something, but, so, just to kind of mix it up, but I don't know. These were really, really fun. This pink one was really, so I got this gesso from Japan that was like really expensive, and I did the gold painting over there with that. And it's got a real great shine to it. And what I like about putting a bright color background, that was a new thing. I've never done that before. I haven't done a lot of things before this show. But I like it because it's stark, like that pink or that green over there. It'll stand out, and it'll just be it'll be the enemy of the painting.
Yeah.
So like when I'm painting and I paint this green on here, and I start with the green.
That's hard to work with.
It'll just come out and just be like, like F you, I'm green, what are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
And then I have to figure out how to navigate
green to work with. I don't know how you did it.
It's almost, it's like a green screen kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there's little colors. What I love is when you take a color and you mix it and you get it, and it's like this like cool, like see, this is a dark green right here, right? It's a really, really dark green, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of these colors, when you're looking at it by itself, it's completely different, That's the magic of color. And then when you put it next to it, it's totally different when you're painting down. So if you ever trying to do touch-ups, and you come back, I can't find that color again because it's kind of lost, because color is a different color depending what context it's in and who's next to it. If you see this black background here, this is your black gesso. This is rare case of black.
Flat, yeah.
But it's really flat. But when you look at this green here, this green is actually, to me, this green is darker than this black.
That's not green.
It's blue. It's black. I don't know what color it is.
Yeah,
but this is darker than that black.
Sure.
And hold on, I gotta call over.
So you're completely working out your paintings as you go.
As I go, yes.
There's
yes,
no
yes, yes. There's
pencil
no plan.
sketching underneath and planning.
No. There
It's
really
hard
isn't.
to
In
do
fact,
that, huh?
when I do sketch it really doesn't. A lot of times they don't work.
So you got color, especially when you lay down in green like that,
Yeah.
you gotta struggle with that the whole time, and you gotta figure out what works with that.
Yeah, and also you want to be with something like that. You want it to be messy, but it's also tight, right? So what happens is if you look at these paintings, like the pink one here, I painted all these rocks before, like this is full fleshed out two-tone rocks.
Yeah.
So I did a whole painting of just two tones. And I came back in here, like most background folks do. But, so I was doing the background first, then I come back in. But if you saw the painting without the lines, it would look like a mishmash, like a really bad painting you might find, nothing against yard sales paintings, but you might find it at a yard sale from like a third graders. But when those lines come in, it can change the whole thing.
So if this is therapy for you in some ways,
Sure.
but it's not relaxing, is it? I mean, isn't it
I don't know. Today it wasn't. Today I tried painting, but I made the time way too precious.
Yeah.
And because I hadn't done it in a while.
Yeah.
So we've been working so hard doing all these other things. These are rocks with different textures. This one was really different to do. Sure, we should probably move a little faster, but
No, we're fine.
no. Okay.
People come and go,
Okay, all right. This painting here, near collision, it's kind of interesting because I wanted to change the compositions up a little bit, but I wanted rocks so they almost none of them are really hitting each other because they're behind each other, almost like you're looking up at the stars again, kind of like looking at the rain, but also like in the beginning of Star Wars with the battleship cruisers coming over you.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted this idea of all this stuff happening, and to me, this green here really is it. Like this green it's so far away from all these other forms of these.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but they're not hitting yet.
Yeah.
Because there would be debris of the same color.
There's a lot of tension in that one because of the green and the orange.
Yeah. Yeah, that orange, putting that orange down is just, again, a big F you, man. That orange is just saying, and that was really different this time, just doing things like that.
Yeah.
And I like the colors with that orange. It's going to take I almost want to eat this part of the painting. Certain times you get that. Not every time, and not with every painting. You don't kind of fall in love in different ways and different things, but there's some color in there some little nuances here that I don't know. And again, they're not planned. It's not planned out.
It's like
They look kind of like their own mountain ranges.
Yeah,
converging.
it's kind of like that. So I'm really happy with that. But then you get other cut out rocks where it's almost like we're pulling the rock from the painting and we're putting it down. And that leads us to one of the last paintings that we'll show you. And that led to, again, panels. I have a love-hate relationship, mostly hate with panels. And that's why most of my things go beyond the panel. I forgot who it said, Jerry Saltz or somebody was talking about two different kinds of artists. There's there's artists who paint within the frame, and there's ones who paint like as if you're taking a snapshot of the world. Yeah. And I'm more the latter, right?
Definitely.
So I don't want to be conscious of I don't want to be bound in by the actual panel, even though it's weird because I like it being an object. So it's this kind of weird thing. Maybe I got a problem with the panel. So I thought maybe if I could take the panels and kind of join them together, maybe I could create these because I really like painting the sides of paintings. Like those other rock ones you saw, the ones that go wrap around. It's really fun to me to see it at an angle and to see the rest of the painting and part of the painting, right? Similar to this, how we get all these different kinds you get 4 different sculptures in one depending on your position and your mood. So with this, it gave me more corners. And that's really what I wanted, was more corners. Because I really like coming in from corners, so we get all these different angles.
So it's just, you built it as an excuse to paint corners.
Yes, I really like painting corners. And that's why everything is coming in from the different corners, and you can see things floating in and out, and the layers of it. And you can see all the seams of all the different panels, and I like looking at it when you can as individual paintings, sorta, but not, So we get all these different, kind of like if you ever see, again back to animation, old animation, they'll create a large background, right? But they'll pan in different spots
Yeah.
on that background. So you get all these kind of different spots, the different, and I kind of like that. So you're looking at, it pulls your eye into different places, and it makes the painting more sculptural than just 2 dimensions. So I think that's Metamorphic.
Wow, we just made a circle in the gallery.
We did. Thanks for coming. If you watch this whole thing, you deserve a prize. Anybody come up with that Maurice Noble? Probably not.
I guess, nope, no.
Okay.
Lots of waves.
Watts Opera Doc is one of them. Maurice Noble did the backgrounds of, what's that one with the in space? Duck Rogers. All the Warner Brothers stuff. Check out Maurice Noble's stuff. The background paintings Maurice Noble did was fantastic. And I love how you can understand what they're really abstract, but you understood the objects or what they were.
Yeah.
Even though the things were just outlandish, just completely, perspective was just so off. And anyways, his sense of color, like in the Roadrunner cartoons, those are really great. So, Jack Kirby, Maurice Noble, Kusama, folks like that, I'm really, really into, Calder, and there's a million wonderful artists out in the world. Okay, so anyways, anybody have any questions? I'm going to leave. If not, thank you for coming.
Susan said, I love the obvious joy you get from your own work.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's why you make it.
We'll take it where we can get it, right? I mean, that's it. I mean, listen, to make work for, a year and a half and really not know where you're at, and to see it, because I don't get to see it in my studio or my house like this, to see it all in one place. It's really, I hope every artist out there, once in their life at least, gets that experience to see their work all together in multiple pieces, and they get to see the evolution of it in one place, because it really changes everything. So I hope you all have like a blank wall that you can just put the thing up, or a place that's not at your house or at your studio, and you can look at it out of context and really get a chance at, because I gotta tell you, the paintings look different than they do in your studio. Something happens. And I know the lighting's nice, but it's not just that. You get to, I don't know, you should give it a moment and give it room to breathe.
Space. That's what the gallery is all about.
That's what it's about. And there's something about it to see a sculpture with the flowers next to the other piece, and I can find the connections between them all. It's surprising. You don't even, So it always surprises me when I get a chance to do that. And I'd like to thank the compound and everybody for supporting the show, and for coming out during a pandemic, and for all the collectors who bought. I mean, the show is, there's very few pieces left, and I can't tell you how much that means to me. So thank you. And
view it online. You can view it online.
You can view it online, and
one more day tomorrow.
Yeah, and tomorrow's the last day.
But we're open.
Yeah, and thank you.
Thanks, Ada.
Bye bye.